Hey, everybody. I'm going to talk today about sex and your relationship to God. And at first blush, that might seem to be an unrelated title. How does sex relate to your relationship with God? And I don't mean this in a religious way. I mean it in what do you believe about God and what is your personal relationship with God? If you call him whatever you call God, him, her, it, they, the source, the universe, whatever your relation is with that higher power, that's what I want to explore with you today. We're exploring sacred sexuality. And that's, the connection there, sacred and sexuality, spirituality and sexuality. Until we really understand how those two connect and how our relationship and what we've learned in our lifetimes about spirituality, until we understand that, we're not going to really understand how it is reflected in whatever might be blocking us from having sacred sexuality. So I want to do a couple of disclaimers to start out with this talk. And one of them is that this commentary is really meant for reflection only. I don't even personally agree with some of the things that I'm going to be reading, but I was prompted to do this video because of a Facebook post that I saw about some words that Einstein would refer to whenever he was asked whether he believed in God. And I was so taken by it and so impressed by some of the liberating thoughts that I wanted to share it with you and incorporate it in your exploration and redefinition of sacred sexuality. And again, like I said, I don't even necessarily believe in some of the things that are said here, but I thought it was really a great way of opening the topic and the inquiry about your beliefs about God. I'm going to just use the word God and, what you were taught that might be inhibiting your sexual expression and pleasure. So, as I said, sex is included in the things that are impacted by what you believe about God and your relationship with God. And I'm going to show you how. So when Einstein would give lectures in the US at universities, the recurring question that came up was do you believe in God? And he answered, I believe in the God of Spinoza. Now, who is Spinoza? Baruch de Spinoza was a Dutch philosopher, considered one of the great rationalists of the 17th century philosophy, along with Descartes. And the 17th century, as we know, was in the 1600s. So, 400 years ago, people were already starting to question the religious dogma. And it's still being questioned. I mean, I think a lot of people believe that, this is, all of this religious questioning and spiritual questioning is something that's just current. This was 400 years ago. So this is what Spinoza says, is stop praying. That was the first thing. Now, again, I don't necessarily believe in any of this, but I just thought it was an interesting way to open up the exploration. What I want you to do this is God speaking, according to Spinoza. Stop praying. What I want you to do is go out into the world and enjoy your life. I want you to sing, have fun, and enjoy everything I've made for you. And again, whether you continue to pray as long as you live, I think the rest of it is so important, is that the encouragement from the universe, from God, is to go out and enjoy the world and enjoy your life and all that the universe has offered you. And that is something that we're not necessarily taught religiously. So I just thought that was a beautiful way to start it. The second thing is stop going into those dark, cold temples that you built yourself and saying they are my house. My house is in the mountains, in the woods, in the rivers, the lakes, the beaches. That's where I live. And there I express my love for you. Again, I'm not saying don't go to church or temple or synagogue or whatever. I'm just saying that this is what Spinoza said, and that it does do for religion what we are attempting to do for sexuality, and that is to redefine and expand your definition. So according to Spinoza, God is saying, I'm everywhere. You can find me out in nature, not in these dark buildings. Next is, stop blaming me for your miserable life. I never told you there was anything wrong with you, or that you were a sinner, or that sexuality was a bad thing. And again, this is 400 years ago. Spinoza is talking about God saying that sexuality is not a bad thing. Sex is a gift I have given you, and with which you can express your love, your ecstasy, your joy. So don't blame me for everything the churches, made you believe. And again, I think this is a very interesting point that Spinoza is making here about distinction between church and God, that we have been brought up to believe that God is being directly expressed through the church. And of course, I know a lot of people don't believe that anymore. Thank you, God. But there are some people who do believe that. And so I think it's a very important thing to let yourself explore your own personal belief, your own personal connection, and that consider the idea that God never said there was anything wrong with your sexuality or with you. Another thing that Spinoza says is, stop reading alleged sacred scriptures that have nothing to do with me. If you can't read me in a sunrise, in a landscape, in the look of your friends, in your son's eyes, you will find me in no book. You're free to read whatever books you want, of course. And also let yourself expand beyond what's written in a book to your own personal experience of the divine. Stop asking me, will you tell me how to do my job? Stop being so scared of me. I do not judge you or criticize you, nor get angry or bothered. I am pure love. Again, I don't know if I believe that exactly. I believe that, the source is pure consciousness, but also, part of that is love and all the other aspects of the universe as well. But for Spinoza's sake, he's saying that God is pure love and that God is not sitting there judging you and criticizing you. And I think that's the important thing to take away here, is that remember that there is another way of looking at the divine, that it's not judging you or criticizing you because you were attracted to your mother's boyfriend, or because you enjoyed the sexual touch that others told you was inappropriate, or that you think about sex too much or not enough. It's like, let yourself be liberated from all those shaming, judging, criticizing statements, and remember that it's not the divine energies that are judging you. That's all what you were taught. And stop asking for forgiveness. There's nothing to forgive. If I made you, I filled you with passions, limitations, pleasures, feelings, needs, inconsistencies, free will. How can I blame you if you're responding to something I put in you? How can I punish you for being the way you are if I'm the one who made you? Do you think I could create a place to burn all my children who behave badly for the rest of eternity? What kind of God would do that? So again, whether you believe this or you don't believe it, and I do think there are times when one should ask for forgiveness from one another, and from the source, if there's something you've done that you believe is against your own belief system, what you value. If you know you hurt someone because you were lashing out about something, of course, ask for forgiveness. and acknowledge that you did something wrong, but not because you believe that God is the only one that can absolve you and that everything you do is a sin and should be asked for forgiveness. And I love the point of that if the universe made us in its image, if we are all little chunks of God, then how can it be wrong that we feel, passion and that we are pleasured, whether it's, an appropriate relationship or not? How can we think that that is a sin? And again, I'm not talking about things that damage other people like pedophilia, even though there is a current rage about, normalizing that I don't believe that's something I'm ever going to be able to believe. But I'm talking about, consenting adults, things that you do with yourself, et cetera, in which no one is damaged, no one is harmed. People have the maturity to consent. It's like, allow yourself to believe that you were endowed with all these abilities for ecstasy and pleasure, that they are God-given rights. Respect your peers and don't do what you don't want for yourself. All I ask is that you pay attention in your life. That alertness is your guide. And that, to me, what Spinoza is saying there is that consciousness and awareness are your guide. Alertness, he calls it, but alert means, to me, means that you're aware, that you're aware when you're doing something that isn't in integrity with your own belief system, that you're aware when you have hurt someone's feelings and you make amends, that you are aware of the difference between right and wrong according to your own understanding of what's for the highest good of all. My beloved, this life is not a test, not a step on the way, not a rehearsal, nor a prelude to paradise. This life is the only thing here and now, and it is all you need. Again, I don't need to argue that, whether you believe, that we have reincarnations or whatever, you go to a divine place. But basically, Spinoza is countering all these decades of religious brainwashing and saying that, life is now. I have set you absolutely free. No prizes or punishments, no sins or virtues. No one carries a marker. No one keeps a record. You are absolutely free to create in your life. Create heaven or hell. And I just feel like those are such powerful words, that you get to live now and not live according to thinking you're going to earn something in the future. I can't tell you if there's anything after this life, but I can give you a tip. Live as if there is not, as if this is your only chance to enjoy, to love, and to exist. So if there's nothing after, then you will have enjoyed the opportunity I gave you. And if there is, rest assured that I won't ask you if you behaved right or wrong. I'll ask, did you like it? Did you have fun? What did you enjoy the most? What did you learn? I read a book a long time ago by an expert on death and dying, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who did a lot of interviews of people who had been dead and then came back to life. And one of the things that they all said, in the ones who had this moment of appearing before God, the two questions that were asked to them is, how much did you love and how much did you learn? And I remember that from, 40 years ago, at least, because that was so powerful to me. How much did you love and how much did you learn? And this, again, this is Spinoza's perspective, is stop believing in me. Believing is assuming, guessing, imagining. I don't want you to believe in me. I want you to believe in you. I want you to feel me in you. When you kiss your beloved, when you tuck in your little girl, when you caress your dog, when you bathe in the sea. Stop praising me. What kind of egomaniac God do you think I am? I'm bored being praised. I'm tired of being thanked. Feeling grateful? Prove it by taking care of yourself, your health, your relationships, the world. Express your joy. That's the way to praise me. Man, I love that part. Love, love, love that part. If you are grateful for your body, take care of your body. If you're grateful for the earth, take care of the earth and your children and, all the miracles. Stop complicating things and repeating as a parakeet what you've been taught about me. Love that. What do you need more miracles for? So many explanations. The only thing for sure is that you are here, that you are alive, and that this world is full of wonders. And I want you to just take this in and see what you feel about it. See how you feel about the lack of judgment that he talks about, the lack of need for asking God to forgive you and to praise God and all of that, but to focus more on feeling yourself as part of God. And to me, this is really intrinsic in sacred sexuality, is that you and God are one. That you are, in essence, having sacred sexuality with God every moment as you live in this creation. And I know I've said this before, but I'll say it again. To me, that is passionate, sacred sexuality, is feeling that deep energy of connection without any overtones of religion or judgment or fear of shame or any overtones, just the pure, blissful connection to the oneness, and honoring that we are part of that. And therefore, in that definition of if God created everything, then we are also divine and part of that. And that our job on earth is to be aware, to be guided by our awareness, and to enjoy every moment, and to believe in the depths of our souls that pleasure and connection are God-given gifts that we are not only entitled, but responsible to enjoy and to manifest as our thanks for being blessed with them. So I hope this is helpful to you in exploring and expanding and redefining and expressing your sacred sexuality. Life is to be lived. Love you.